Okay, everyone, we're live streaming at this time.
Hello.
Hey, George. Hi, Dylan, Greg, Danny, how are you?
Good, good. How's everybody doing?
Good. If we could get some sunshine up here, it'd be even better.
Agreed, agreed.
All right, Greg. We see that you won't be able to make comments. It's good to have you on today. We haven't seen you in a few weeks and hope everything's going well with you. Hey, Sadie.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone.
All right. We'll give a couple more minutes. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's good to see everybody. First things first, I want to introduce our new city planner, Jared. Last name, Jared?
Chipman.
Shipman. So this is our new staff planner. He's excited to be here. I got to speak with him briefly this morning. Him and Andy were walking around downtown, kind of checking things out. So come on, group, be nice to the guy, okay? He's here for the good of Idaho Springs. So welcome, Jared.
Thank you.
So what we'd like to do real quick is we've got Dr. Ryan on with it. Well, oh, there he is. Tim, Dr. Ryan, thanks for being with us. We missed you last week, I believe, and we're here just to kind of hear the updates you have and kind of things that you would like to put out to this group that we should be aware of and be concerned about, or something we should be thinking about. So with that, Dr. Ryan, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mayor Hillman. Good afternoon, everybody. So not a lot of updates. Cases, hospitalizations, and fatalities continue to decline. Although, as I stated on the BOCC call earlier today, across the country and the state, we were at significantly high levels. So a decline over 5 weeks still brings us down into a range that is far too high, in excess of 17,000 plus cases a day in this country. At the same time, as all of you are well aware, vaccine efforts continue across the country, across the state, and in this county. In this state, for example, roughly 45% of the adult population, i.e. those at 12 and above, are fully vaccinated, and roughly 54% have at least one dose. So well below where we need to be, but certainly moving in the right direction. Here in Clear Creek County, we have roughly 49% of the eligible population fully vaccinated, and another 10%, or I'm sorry, another 5% or so who are awaiting that second dose. So still, again, well below where we need to be, but making progress along the way. The current factor driving the numbers that we see across the country are the unvaccinated. They're 95 to 98% of cases that we see in general. They're 100% of the cases going to the hospital, and 100% of the people dying are all unvaccinated. So as you know, last year, May, June, July, we saw a significant decrease in cases across the country, primarily because people went outside and did the majority of the things that they did outside. We're seeing that also play into this, along with the vaccination rollouts. And so we should expect this trend to continue. but don't know really what September or October are going to look like once everybody goes back inside. And we still have a significant portion of our population, the population in our state and country, unvaccinated. Any questions so far? So as business owners, my advice to you is if you have unvaccinated staff who work there, I would strongly encourage you to tell them to put a mask on. They are your Achilles heel. A legal point of clarification. As an employer, you have all the legal right in the world to ask your employees, are you vaccinated? Not because you're interested in knowing their status as an individual, but because it is part of your business. You're asking that because they are your Achilles heel. And if they are unvaccinated, they are particularly problematic for your place of employment. So you have all the right in the world to ask them if they're vaccinated. What I found is 100% of people who are vaccinated are happy to tell you that. And no people who are unvaccinated are happy to share their status with you. So if someone says, I decline to answer, you can almost assume 100% that they're unvaccinated and they're going to be unvaccinated. So you can draw whatever conclusions you want from that, but that is really the reality. So again, you have every right in the world to ask that question. They can deny you that answer, but again, you know what that means. What you cannot do is you cannot share that information with others unless they absolutely need to know, meaning if you as the owner want to let your general manager know who and who does not need to wear a mask of your employees, that again, you're well within your legal right to do that sort of thing. You cannot put on Facebook and your website the status of people. That's a HIPAA violation, and that will land you a fine and or jail time. You cannot do that. But you can ask, and you can let those folks know who need to know for that relevant status. Any questions on that? So, and I heard that directly from the attorney for the state of Colorado who works for CDPHE. So she is the highest level of expertise there is in the state on that subject matter. So if one of your employees pulls out their law book and tries to cite some case that you've never heard of, odds are they don't actually know what they're talking about.
So do we need, Dr. Ryan, do we need to get them to provide them with some kind of privacy form that says that if you tell us this, that this is as far as kind of like a HIPAA form or something to kind of guarantee? Because I could see where employees might say it's not your business, or they are concerned about the information getting out to general public or others.
There is no form, Mike. You have the right as the business proprietor to ask that question. They have every right, as I stated, to deny you an answer. But what it should indicate to you is that they are likely unvaccinated if they refuse to answer that question. Again, I haven't met a single person who's vaccinated who was not happy to share that fact with me and or anyone else I've been around. So you have the right to ask that. I don't know legally if you need to come up with a form that says you're going to guarantee. I wouldn't guarantee anything. You as a proprietor have the ability to ask that question, and you have the ability to act on it. Meaning if I'm your employee and I tell you I am not vaccinated and I have no intent to get vaccinated, you can then as a business proprietor require me to wear a mask at work. Because if I get COVID, one, I'm out for 2 weeks, and two, I'm taking everyone out with me who's unvaccinated. So as a business owner, it's in your right, within your right to know that information and make requirements of that employee, just like you would any other safety precaution in your place of business.
Okay. So what can you tell us about the new variants that's going around and what we should be thinking about as we hear more and more about them from other countries moving into our state?
Get vaccinated. The variants, the viruses learn really quickly. They're up there in the Mensa category in terms of their ability to learn and adapt quickly. The variants For instance, the UK variant that 4 months ago had just hit the shores of the United States, the prediction was it would be the dominant variant within months. And here we are at 74% of the cases occurring in this country. The UK variant is particularly troubling because of its significant increase in transmissibility. It's also particularly problematic because, unlike the original virus, it's now affecting younger and younger kids, whereas the original virus had very little impact on under 16, under 18 years of age. The new variants, they're learning quite quickly, and they learn particularly from the pool in which they're thriving. And that pool, as you know, is getting smaller and smaller and younger because our elderly are vaccinated, the 60 plus, 50 plus, et cetera. And so it's learning what it needs to do to be more transmissible and be more deadly in the younger age groups. The variant, there's a single variant so far out of India, but I could put all the money I have on the fact that another variant is going to come out of India at some point. Whether it's more transmissible or more deadly, I don't know. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. That's what variants do. And they mutate and they try to perfect themselves as quickly as humanly possible. And the longer we wait to get vaccinated, the greater increase of that happening occurs, right? So it's incumbent upon us as Americans to get vaccinated as quick as we can and ship the rest of the vaccine out to the rest of the world, because this is a pandemic. It is not an American problem, it's a global problem. And so the longer it can fester and mutate out in the rest of the world, the more likely there is to be a variant that is more problematic moving forward. And come the fall, it very well may be there. And you just think about this scenario, right? We test less. We are now with this naivete of the pandemic has gone away because we've gotten rid of all these restrictions. And I'm vaccinated, so I'm going to do nothing. And the unvaccinated who don't want to wear masks are going to do next to nothing. And come fall, they're going to be the reservoir in which the new variants are going to thrive. And the problem is we're not going to know about it until it's really too late, until it's 3, 4, 5 weeks into it. And then we realize once hospitalizations tick up that we have a new variant on our hands and we're having to deal with it in the fall. That's what we're hoping to avoid by getting as many people vaccinated as humanly possible and continuing to test throughout this, because as soon as we let all that down, that's when things come back. India is a great example of that. They had it handled many months ago and they let their guard down. And now you have what you have in India if you've been paying attention. So that's the reality. We have the potential to change that course. Are we doing it? In my opinion, not quite fast enough. We've been vaccinating for 6 months now, or 5 months now, and we only reached the 50% mark, and things are dramatically slowing down in terms of the number of folks getting vaccinated. So the hope of getting to 70 to 75 or even higher percentage is dwindling quite quickly, particularly when people go out and they perceive that the pandemic is over, because everywhere they go, nobody's wearing masks and life is back to quote unquote normal. You sort of lose the incentive and belief that somehow you are in danger as an individual. And once that goes away, the number of people getting vaccinated drops off dramatically.
All right. Any questions we need to ask Dr. Ryan while we've got him today?
So one last point, as a business owner, my recommendations to you all is continue to do what you've been doing. You've been doing a great job, continue doing it. Identify your staff members who are unvaccinated. This isn't a judgment call. It's not about, oh, you're unvaccinated, there's something wrong with you. It's more identifying what your Achilles heel is and protecting it. Because if you don't protect your Achilles heel, we all know it happens. So it's incumbent upon you to ask that most basic question, are you or are you not vaccinated? And if you are not, we require you to wear a mask while at work. It's pretty simple. It's not a huge ask, and it's protecting you and your business. And if you want to stay open at 100%, which is what I've been hearing for the last 10 months that I worked here, as your rallying cry, then you need to do that most basic thing and protect your employees and make sure that your doors stay open and that you don't have outbreaks in your businesses. That's my advice to you moving forward.
All right. Again, Dr. Ryan, thank you for coming on with us every Monday and giving us an update and your opinions and how to keep us safe. Good job that you're doing. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank
Okay, last chance. Any other questions for Dr. Ryan? All right. We'll move into our next little segment. We don't have a whole lot of people on here today. So let's go with Steve. How was your weekend? What did you see out there? And things that we should be considering or thinking about.
Well, I guess if I start with Thursday was our first Music on Main Street that we did with two brothers. And it was a beautiful weather that night. It was cool with warm sun. And it seemed like a lot of locals came out and everybody was really, really excited to see each other outdoors in a pretty healthy environment. The band was good and pretty much packed our little section of Main Street down here. The vibe was really, really nice. Everybody was very happy. So that was the start of our weekend. Then Friday, Saturday were great. Again, outdoor Main Street setup was good. Then the rain came and it pretty much, rained and it's been questionable weather all the way through right now. Still had good numbers. People were still out, but the weather was challenging. We ended up May pretty much even to 2019, which is good for us because we've been trending a little lower than that. And I do accredit the Main Street setup with that kind of success because we're also operating with half the staff. So to hit that number with half staff is good. And with the parking challenges that we have, to hit that number is also really good. It was nice to have the parking lots down the street open, so there was more volume of parking in town, even though the parking right around the brewery here that's in town is still challenging. More people were able to fit in town. So that's it.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Lindsay?
Hey, everyone. I'll let Dylan chime in on this.
Yes, Thursday night was great for us. Starting to get back in the swing of things for summer. Thursday, Friday were both great. Still seeing that lag in morning numbers for us. Sunday was okay, wasn't the best, but Monday was actually a really awesome day for us.
All right. Sadie?
It was wonderful to walk around. We actually closed out our May at the highest sales month we've ever had. So that was pretty impressive. It was really enjoyable to go down to Tommyknockers, and the street was really busy and everybody was out having fun. And even when it started to rain, you can see the brave souls still wanting to sit outside and enjoy the fun Minor Street setup. It was really good to see all the visitors in town, and having the parking back open back behind definitely seemed to alleviate some issues with people having to drive around for a really long time to find parking. So it was nice to see that open again. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sadie. And I'll speak from the east end of town. Friday and Saturday were very good. Of course, like everybody else, Sunday was kind of a downer because of the weather, and then Monday was a pretty decent day as well. So I see that we're starting to people are wanting to get out, they're wanting to come up here, and we just need to continue to be safe and how we're conducting our business so we don't have a relapse and have to go back the other way. That'd be detrimental to all of our businesses in our communities. So since the parking was mentioned, as you can imagine, when John Kane put out there that we put out to the community that we have been making some changes in the way some areas that we felt that should have been paid parking, 30-minute parking with no rhyme or reason why it was there. And we did a real good job about that. Also, what got out to the community is how we were doing differently with the county residents and with the employees. We've dedicated a couple of lots for the employees to park in. Of course, I'm not sure who sees the Facebook posts, but I know John Kane was going back and forth all weekend with him being on vacation. He was still having to fight the good fight. So here's what I'm going to say. I want to throw this out to the business owners. You know, here's the deal. If y'all want to allow employees to park in the parking lots and kind of keep it as a free for all for the employees, I don't have a problem with that. You know, the people that what it will affect is your businesses. If the employees are taking up parking places for 8 to 10 hours in a day and they don't move, and we have already lost 55 to 60 parking places off of Minor Street, and we only could recoup about 20, 25 of those. We still don't have all of Tommyknockers behind their building back. I don't know if they've done anything to move those barriers back today. They haven't. I did make a pretty nasty text to CDOT. You know, we were promised something and it didn't happen again. I will reach back out to them later today to see what they're going to do about getting those barriers pushed back and providing more space. So like I said, we are trying to, and I mean the city, the employers, all of downtown and the community, we're trying to figure out how we can best juggle and provide parking for our visitors, our citizens, and our employees with the least impact on getting butts and seats and people into retail stores to help everybody, you know, recover and recoup from our last year and a half that we have that we had to be closed. So I just want to throw it out there. Another thing John and I have been talking about is, and he has been talking to somebody about a shuttle back and forth to the 103 lot. Now, keep in mind that 103 lot will very soon be getting surveyed, potholing and things. I'm not sure when that is. I'd have to talk to Chief Fabian to see when the civil engineers are going to be out there to start doing that work on that for our new fire station over there. I'm open to any suggestions, ideas, and thoughts that you might have about how we can try to solve, we'll never solve the problem, but how we can do something that will help everybody out and hopefully get some of our business owners downtown settled down about their way and their use of our parking. Steve?
Seems, well, first of all, I did follow a little bit of that Facebook stuff, and John Kane, you're a superstar for keeping your cool and dealing with all that. You're amazing. But it seems like there could be, you can kind of placate a lot of those people by doing the 2019 plan. It seemed like it worked in 2019 to have the back row. I know it's not exactly the same as it was. Once they're up behind the Tommyknockers building, it'll be the same kind of parking is identical as in 2018. And that very back row against the highway was employee parking. At least it gives the customers a fighting chance for the parking that's, you know, the grade A parking, the closer to the businesses. And it gives the employees the impression that they're following the rules and they're parking in the back and they're closer to the building. And it's a stepping stone to the future when you do get a shuttle or you do have other options. Doesn't make people feel like they're just getting cut off or something. It just seems like a good step-by-step process.
Any other comment? Now, also, if you didn't notice, behind Westbound and Down, the way that the wall came out, we actually lost about 15 parking places back there. And that is combination of the new bump outs where the new lights are going to go in and the way that it narrows down at that far end. It's just too narrow to run two-way traffic through there. That's why we didn't stripe that last 13, 14 parking places. Again, going back to what would everybody like to see happen? Like I said, it doesn't affect the East End. This is going to be a decision that I would like to be guided by the downtown business owners and managers of what's going on. I did put a suggestion out there to somebody that, if we have off-site parking or using these other lots, that their employer should allow them after the parking time at 6 o'clock is done for them, allow them to go get their cars and bring them in closer. Now, some said that, oh, no, nobody can do that. Nobody can do that. And my response to that is, you know what? The employers need to take some responsibility too. They need to be working with us as well. A place that has four employees that really only works Monday through Friday and complaining about they're not getting to park it right at their back door. So I don't have a problem with that. It will be easy for us to change that parking where employees are allowed to park. The other thing that we know is happening is there's businesses telling their employees to go park behind other businesses, which I don't know if that's fair. If everybody told their employees to go park behind Tommy Knockers in that lot, then I think that affects that end of Minor Street. So I don't know if we can get into, you get X amount of spaces behind your building that your employees can park in, or your block. So anybody that works at Bojo's, their employees has to park in the parking lot against the wall behind Bojo's. They can't go down to westbound and down parking lot and park your employees' cars down there and take up all that parking space down there. And this is just an idea that I'm throwing out to see if any of this makes sense, if this is something we should look at entertaining and implementing or not. Any thoughts on that?
Mike, there would be a lot of management with it, with the cutting it that thin and dividing it all up between different businesses. I think Tommy Knockers, Steve's, couldn't think of Steve's name, idea of that back row again being for employees only might make the most sense from an optics standpoint, and also providing a reasonable number of employee spaces. And it seems to me, I don't know, it seems to me like it might have the most advantages. But like you said, nothing is perfect.
It doesn't have any advantage to us at all, and it hurts us pretty badly. We had, and Danny, you can say if you agree or disagree, but I think that over the last 3 years, we have seen employees parking all over those lots, regardless of where they're allowed to park. There's been no employees that have been good at parking on that back wall. I'm not saying all across the board, but that has been a major problem we've had in those parking facilities. We don't have enough parking downtown to accommodate every use. We don't need to have employee parking far away from town in the wintertime months, but in the summertime months, there is not enough room for 125 cars of employees to park there. And it's just a fact. I mean, we've lost 15 spots on that back row. It's tight. If we get campers in there, if we get trailers in there, it makes it worse. And I'm not trying to hurt employees. This is not about hurting employees, but in the summertime, we're talking about less than a 200-yard walk to get to any business in town from the busing lot, the resource lender lot, and the sign spaces on Colorado Boulevard. I've spent years looking at this problem at this point. I know we want to do the most we can for our employees, and we need to treat them right because it is a hard market, and I understand that. But I do think that we need to be very careful about that back row parking because there's just simply not that much parking spaces there. And we're not going to be able to dedicate it to employees either. It's going to be, I think, for an ambassador, much easier to point tourists towards the main lots and have more spaces available in the outer lying areas than it is going to be to just try to manage a confused area in that parking, in those parking lots.
Yeah. No, I understand. I think that makes sense. And the loss of those spots on the East End is significant, really is.
Sadie, do you have anything to add?
I agree with Steve in the fact that John managed a very many complex conversations on Facebook, and I did my part to be kind and remind people that this is a complex issue. And as a community, we need to do our best to limp through the next couple of years till we can get a longer term solution. I, as an employer, am super blessed. I have designated parking behind my building, so although in the summer I do have more staff than I do parking, and my staff, parks at the resource center a lot and walks to the shop. And then if they are closing, I give them the time to move their cars before, so that they're closer to the space. I agree with people walking late at night is not safe. I feel if we could pour in efforts into a shuttle program, even if it's some kind of like ride share shuttle program, that might even be something that's helpful. But the more we can pour into figuring out a shuttle program, to understanding how to make sure at night the people that are closing the restaurants down have enough security and feel safe enough. But I'm pretty lucky as an employer, so it's hard for me to truly shine an opinion. All that I do know is that it's complex, and if we don't all try to work together, it's not really fair.
Thanks, Sadie.
Hey, Mike. I probably sound like a broken record because I've said this a lot, but I mean, my office is on Colorado Boulevard, and Colorado Boulevard is empty pretty much all the time. So I just feel like I know residents want those signs up, and I totally get where they're coming from, but they're not using it. And so I don't see why we can't take advantage of the residential parking on Colorado Boulevard for employees. At least maybe north side employers, their employees can park on Colorado, and south side can park in the other lots.
Employees can already park on Colorado Boulevard in any signed spot. That's in the new
It is.
agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another 30 spots. There's
Maybe start promoting that then.
Danny, I want to hear from Interstate. Do you have any thoughts or ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think John does make a really good point with employee parking, and unfortunately just, employees kind of parking everywhere and anywhere, especially even on like Minor and some of the avenues. My thoughts is, and I don't know how everybody feels about this, and we can talk offline about this, Mayor, in a council meeting or whatever, but if we made, the Avenue Center alley to Colorado available to employees and not just residential parking, I think that would also really help kind of alleviate some of that congestion. But yeah, with there not being any parking in the lots over the weekends, and Ambassadors trying to push, visitors of the city of Idaho Springs to Busting Lot, unfortunately, they're just not willing to go that far. So then they end up actually parking in residential or in front of somebody's house where they unfortunately aren't supposed to be parked. And then we get a lot of, feedback and complaints from the residents just because they're parking, just a block or two away from a Minor. So, yeah, so those are just kind of my thoughts, but definitely, we're open to any suggestions from anybody, and just really wanting to make it work for everybody.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. I have a question of Jonathan. I'm just wondering, I think the idea of a shuttle system is pretty exciting. It certainly serves more markets than just employees. But I'm wondering, in terms of timing, what might be the shortest fuse that could be instituted?
It's more than just getting a shuttle. We have to hire a driver.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Their background is vetted. John's saying that the type of vehicle that he's looking at is the type of vehicles looking at will not require a CDL, which is a plus, because it's very hard to get CDL licensed drivers out here. So I know that I tasked that with John this weekend, and he's been doing some research and some background check to see how fast we could get some. Do you have any update on that, John?
I've contacted a couple of companies. One company can provide a driver. The other company just provides a shuttle. I don't know what the costs of either are yet. And so that's really kind of be the dependent factor here because we didn't budget for a project like this at the beginning of the year. There was probably funds that we could use to do something like this, but it just really depends on if we're talking about, is it a $3,000 a month project or is it a, more than that kind of project? So I will have information on that hopefully tomorrow by the latest.
What about the rec center shuttle? Is that still being utilized?
The rec center shuttle, I'm not even familiar with the rec center shuttle.
They have that mini bus that they were using a while back.
I know that the county has the roundabout, transit. It's called Roundabout now. John, who did we use last year for 4th of July? That was just a one day.
Yeah, that was the county bus. I think there at least is or was a rec center bus, but I don't know its status. The other thing we've talked about off and on is if Loveland would help us because they have buses that they don't use in the summertime. They have drivers too. So we've had that conversation as well, but there's not been movement.
And then, of course, then we have to find those places to park cars. Like I said, the 103 lot, holds about 80 to 90 cars. So that could be used, until the work for that fire station starts going on over there. And then it's probably going to have to be blocked off. We may be able to get through the summertime. I'm not sure. I can check on that with Chief Fabian to see where we're at with the surveying and the potholing and things for that site. So what I'm hearing is everybody's okay with go ahead and allowing the employees to park against the back wall. How do we want to try to regulate that employees are parking behind the businesses that they work in and not taking up parking spaces that, or it could continue to be a free for all. And Steve could tell his employees to go park down at Westbound. Westbound can tell them to go park behind Bojo's, and Bojo's can tell them to go park behind both of them. However y'all want to try to implement this, and let us know if you want to put that restriction on there. And back to what John Kane said is, what should we do if we allow the back row? I think I counted 60 to 65 parking places on that back row. Is that about right, John? And then what do we do about the other employees that just park anywhere and is it first come, first serve? If there's no parking places back there, then you have to go park in one of the outer lots, or what do you suggest that we do with that? Because we know it happens at my place. They come in at the last minute and try to run into work. And these employees are looking for a parking place that's close to that door that they can run into. Then they drive around for 15 minutes and finally find a parking place. Now they're late to work and late to their shift. So that's not good either. If they know that if there's no parking along that back wall, then they need to go into the one, and they need to get there 10 to 15 minutes early to plan for that. Now, of course, in November and late October, it's going to be easy for them to find a parking place back there, because that's our slow time. Any thoughts on how we should try to regulate and enforce that? And one way that I was thinking about is basically a car registered with a business as an employee. It would have to be like we would make the Tommy Knocker lot 1121, and that's where they're supposed to be. So when their license plate comes up, it says, oh, they're parked in the right area. Their business is in this block, so they're parked in the right area. Any thoughts about that, John or Danny?
They need to register every 3 months, and we're going to give tickets to every single person that doesn't do it. And I'm not going to forgive them.
Another thing that we know is happening, especially back again behind Tommy Knockers, is the rafting business. Now that they're not supposed, they never were supposed to, and not it's supposed to use that CDOT right of way there at the corner of 13th and the off ramp westbound. So those rafting trips are all the rafting people and cars are parking behind Tommyknockers on that top lot behind Tommyknockers and taking up a lot of the lot on 13th, the Mustang lot as well. So that has decreased, where those customers for the most part weren't using our parking and now they are. So that's taken up anywhere probably from 15 to 25 spots at one time. Of course, they're having to pay for them. So it's not like we can say, no, you can't do that. But any thoughts on that?
With the rafting companies and see if they'll use the 103 lot. And, the rafting companies have their big buses and stuff. So they could say, hey, park and meet us at this location and we'll pick you up and bring you over and get you set up. And so they just all start parking over there and the rafting companies pick them up and bring them into town.
And we can do that unless we run a shuttle for employees over there, then do we want 20 to 25 cars over there for 3 to 6 hours while they do their rafting trip and never moving? So, this is not an easy solve. We're doing the best we can. We're still moving along and trying to get this parking deck going, as you know. And I'll tell you now, that's not going to solve the problem either. It will help, but I don't think that the type of business, and now that we are a destination community, we've got more people coming up. Andy and John and I got a pretty damning letter this weekend of how disarray your parking is, and this is BS that you don't have parking for people that are visiting your town. Of course, you knew what I wanted to say to him, but I didn't. John responded to it, and took care of it. But it's not at the fault of anybody. We're doing the best we can, and people want to come and visit our community, and even more so with our marketplace. People hear about that and they say outside, and now we got bands a couple of nights a week. And here's the other thing. I think that if we really tighten it up between Thursday and Sunday, I'm not sure that Monday through Wednesday that we would be in the same position. It's really, as we know, as time's gone by, Thursday has really became the beginning of the weekend. A lot of people travel on Thursday on their way up because they don't want to fight that Friday traffic. So Thursday, over the last several years, have become very good days for most of our businesses up there. And we could do that it could lighten up that Monday through Wednesday, that a little bit easier on the employees. But during the peak surge times on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's important for the businesses to have that parking.
Mike, I'd like to just add an additional comment here. No matter how we tweak the parking patterns, there are going to be winners and losers between all the different businesses down there. And it seems to me, I think it's very arguable that Jonathan Kane has the best overall view where there are the most winners between all the businesses. And again, it can't be exactly even, but I think Jonathan may have the most useful universal view of what's going on. And so I didn't want to sound like I'm totally dismissing their current new plan. And so just with that, that thought is all.
I'm sorry if I came across antagonistic there. That was not my intention. I realized the benefit of having them on the back wall too. So. Oh, well,
no, not a problem there. No, but I understand what you're saying. But you were looking at total overall numbers, that would be a benefit to all the businesses. So I just, I think it's worth not just dismissing at all.
As you know, this has been a problem for a long time. I don't think there's ever going to be a solution that will solve the whole parking problem as a whole, unless everybody has to ride bicycles into town and no cars. And I don't see that happening for a while anyway. So we'll keep plugging along on that. I think that we need to, John, probably get something identified by this next coming up weekend to notify employees of what they're going to be allowed to do, I know there's a lot of county residents that are upset that they're going to be limited to 3-hour parking. I really firmly believe that we've got county folks that are coming in, and since they have free parking, they're going bike riding with their friends, and they're meeting in our parking lots and leaving their cars. That was the whole idea of trying to have this time limit. And if county employees have a free, open, anytime, anywhere parking pass, I think it's becoming problematic. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I can confirm, Mayor, that we don't have a lot of county residents coming in and parking for a very long amount of time. I think when we sent out the communication that we just sent out, because I sent it out on my end as well, I think it just raised a flag for county residents to come in and now kind of say that they're a little uncomfortable with this, but we don't on a daily basis have a lot of county residents parking in the lots for a very large amount of time. So I can confirm that.
One thing we are going to be doing with these employee permits is giving employees the ability to park there unlimited as long as they want, whether they're working or not. So we should just be aware of that as well, that this does create a whole class of user that can park for free, unlimited in Idaho Springs.
All right. Okay, well, we'll get John to work on that. All right, let's talk about the weekend with the events going on. We already heard about the bands. I know that the Wild Bunch was out there walking around and taking pictures. What I will say is I have had some concerns from council members and some public about this group being able to shoot guns off. We all know that it's in good and fun, but I was watching TV, I believe it was on Saturday, and of course it was in Israel or somewhere, where people were sitting around and all of a sudden the gun pop started going on and everybody in a massive rush just took off running. And, I know these guns don't sound like real guns, but, us being sensitive with another shooting happened in Florida. I think there was like 25 or something people shot down in Florida over the weekend. And I don't want somebody getting out of their car, walking up out of the parking lot, get halfway into downtown, all of a sudden start hearing these popping, not knowing what's going on, and, causing some kind of, reaction that they take off with their kids and, start hiding behind cars. And, so what I would like to do with that is I'm going to take it back to council to talk about, to see what council would really like to do with that. Like I said, we know it's all fun and games, but unfortunately, the more I think about it, with the way our society has become with these shootings and these mass shootings, one in our backyard in Boulder, I have to take the concerns of our constituents and at least address it with council. So we're going to do that on our next meeting, and we'll talk about that. Did we get the cornhole tournament going Monday night?
Cornhole starts next week on Monday. We have a cornhole meeting tomorrow at 2 for all the participating locations. Everybody will have their boards. The cornhole meeting is at Tommyknockers. It should be pretty fun. I'm gonna start posting it up on social media, as well as live music starts next Tuesday on the Mountain Prime westbound and down end. So I will be posting up about that on social media. We've been getting lots of really positive feedback about the fun things on Minor. One thing to put in your ear, Mike, and a few other of you guys' ears, is we have interest for a chalk art festival. The chalk artists that go down to Larimer Square, it's not really a festival or an event, but they would like to be considered able to come and do their chalk art on Minor. One thing I did want to bring up, and this is just to bring to the group, is that right now we have a very strict from our city clerk that if we want any special event in Idaho Springs, we must give 60 days notice. But up until less than a month ago, we were not, as a city, we were not approving special events. So now we're kind of limiting now that if we're going to have any, and the threshold of special event is very, very small. So something that classifies as a special event, such as having chalk artists come to draw on Minor, would require 60 days notice. So that puts us in this place where between now and August, we can't really do anything small on the market. And we just changed that policy to being able to allow special events. So I didn't know, Mike, if there was a way, because we weren't approving special events, if there could be an exemption to that because of the times that we're in. I understand that it is a lot of work to get these approvals, but again, some of these small things that are just as simple as having chalk art on Minor, I didn't know, and I wanted to just bring that awareness to the group that there are a lot of people and a lot of drawing interest to wanting to do things on our market.
Okay, and we know that, Sadie, that was a discussion, and I will continue to discuss that with our city clerk, because if we were open, everything was cool, these events would have had their permits going because they knew they needed 60 days. And since we only got the release from all of the steps we needed to, well, our mask order and everything a week ago, it does put these events in certain bad situations. I will find out, especially with the small ones, a thing like Dynamite Days, that takes a lot of planning, street closures, hiring and bringing in more PD. So that's why it really took that 30 to 60 days to get that. But it was a smaller event. I'm sure that we could expedite those much quicker so we can make them happen.
Yeah, and I think also as we continue to become a destination city and start talking about these downtown improvements, it might be worth considering that there may need to be more than one category for special event, that not everything fits in one bucket. That special event application, now filling it out for the 5th time for something super small, is a big hindrance to our community being able to offer small things. So as we move forward, maybe the thought of having different categories of events might serve us better, so that we can again cater better to the people that are wanting to use our town as a venue to host their things, so that we become a little bit more friendly and interactive in that experience.
Okay, will do. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. I'm just going to kind of open it up to any conversation we might want to throw out there. Steve?
What would be
Okay,
some of
enough.
the
Next? No. I'll just give you our time, Steve. Go ahead.
what would be some of the touch points and the first things of activation for the new city planner?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What would be some of the touch points and points of activation for the new city planner?
Well, we probably need to get him involved in the cornhole tournament. We need him to try out a Tommy Knocker beer and a Westbound and Down beer and a cider from the cidery. And then he needs to jot down to the east end of town and try a burger and barbecue. What we want to do, as you probably already know, Jared's coming in with the fire hydrant running. We've got the football field development. We have the Argo going on. We have a housing development that still could come back to us. So Jared's going to have a lot to start learning and get filled in on to get us into the future. And another thing about Jared, he's got a very extensive background in code enforcement. So we're going to rely on him a little bit to help us, some things that we might want to think about changing and doing differently. So, yep, his door is always open. Give him a call, have him over, sit him down and talk to him. We just want to get him to be a part of our community and understand where the business community and the citizens are wanting, not wanting, it will accept, not accept, or on the fence on. Did that answer your question, Steve? Or did you need something else?
Hey, Mike,
Okay.
I have a question that may not be a quick question, so we can talk about it later too. But just for the music and everything, are we able to, Steve and I were chatting about this earlier, can we set up chairs in front of kind of the stage area for people to sit in? And would it be at all possible to kind of create a roped off area that maybe we can get an extension for alcohol so people can sit in front of the band with their drinks?
So the first thing I would say is, one, we know that the alcohol permit has to be tagged with a business. Second, chairs in the street takes away our drive lane. If somebody, if emergency responder need to come through there, there's gonna be chairs out the road. So no, I would not support setting chairs up out there for that reason, you know, because somebody having a health problem at Mountain Prime or in that block, that Mountain Prime's not in that block, but to make sure everybody's out of the way, you know, if everybody's standing, it's easy to move. You know, with chairs out there, it makes it much more difficult. And we agreed that we weren't encroaching into that area. I think we already designated 2 roped off areas for the bands to set up in. Is that correct, Andy? One in front of the CenturyLink building and the other in front of the senior center. Those
Yeah,
are the-
we're just trying to figure out, and again, you know, it's not all about us. So, you know, I'm not here to fight anything, but it's just the band, it's the way it's set up where our customers are, they're not able to see the band at all. And so we were trying to figure out a way to kind of adjust seating so they could actually watch the band. But like I said, I mean, we can get over it too, so.
Okay. All right. Any last questions or thoughts? All right. Really appreciate everybody on this meeting and having their input on Mondays, except this is Tuesday, of course. We will meet next Monday. Then we know that everybody's going to be starting to get really busy, including myself. And maybe we should do these meetings every other week, unless just a topic comes up that we really need to get to it. Jonathan can send out a invite and the credentials to have a quick meeting. Is that okay with everybody? All right. Good work, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk soon.
Thanks. See ya, everybody.
Thank you.
You.